we go. We're on. Super stoked to be in the house with you guys on the afternoon lunchtime Devo with Bo. Oh, man, so glad to be in with you. And Marcia, you're in the house. You're on the ball. You know what's going on. You know we're getting in here. And we'll have to get the people trained, right? I was doing 9 o'clock so often that when it's hilarious, but when my computer went down in the office here, I had to replace it with the one from home. And so I don't have anything at home really to go live. So I've been coming in, doing these Devos in the afternoon a little bit, and it's working out okay. I don't mind it at all. Lunchtime Devo's great. So we just need to get everybody kind of trained in it, and then we'll be fine, right? So, hey, welcome to the afternoon Devo with Bo. These devotions are a time to really get through the Word of God and glean some super awesome truths from it. I always say if everybody just read the Bible, just picked out these principles, kind of saw things through its lens, maybe our world would be a much different place, a much better place. And it's so neat where we're at in the Bible right now. We've been going through it. We're in 2 Samuel chapter 8, the life of King David. You would think that as this guy David finally gets kind of the reins of being king of Israel, that things would work out great and everything would be, in a sense, okay. But isn't it not that way? Sometimes when we hit the pinnacle, we find that it just creates more issues, more different problems. Other things happen, and that happens to a lot of us. There's got to be something greater that we're living for, someone greater than we're living for, something that can really fill our hearts and meet the needs that we have as a human being. Because if it doesn't happen, we're going to just keep scratching. We're going to keep scratching at people and at things, right? And never find that satisfaction. Never find that serenity in life, maybe the peace that we're looking for oh so much. So King David, is at the pinnacle. He is at the top, and he is king. And in 2 Samuel chapter 8, it says, and after this amazing prayer of thanksgiving that David gives to God, remember, David wanted to build God a house, right? But what did God say? Hey, you're not going to build me a house, but I'm going to build you a house. Isn't that crazy? That's how God works. David says, man, dude, I would love to, build something for you, God, a place where you can be. I dwell in these, this palace of cedar, and you're out there in a tent, the tabernacle, the idea of, now obviously God doesn't dwell in tents, but it's not that idea. It's the idea of that, man, I'm in a nice house, but my church is all messed up, that kind of thing. Like, man, shouldn't we use some of our funds to help out the body? Shouldn't we use some of our funds to provide a nice place, a safe place for us to go and meet? Where's all my money going to? Is it just for you to have the best countertop in your house, of your kitchen? Or the nicest floor? Is that what it's about? Well, the Bible has some words to say about that attitude. I'm not going to get into that today, but other Devos I've gotten into that. But David here is blown away that God would grant him a house, a everlasting kingship. Isn't that amazing? So God says, hey, I'm going to build your house, bro. You're going to build me a house? Ain't going to happen. But I'm going to build your house, and it's going to be an everlasting kingship. It's going to be awesome. So after this, David defeated and subdued the Philistines by conquering Gath, their largest town. David was super familiar with Gath. And notice that right after all this cool spiritual pump up, David, what does he do? He goes to war to fight those Philistines, that enemy. And I find it so fascinating that it's awesome that sometimes we take the greatest steps forward, when we have a real spiritual confidence that's kind of behind us, pushing us forward. God is with you. God is for you. If God is with you, who can be against you, right? If he did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all, how much more will he freely give us all things? When you have that kind of spiritual backing, when you're in the boxing ring and you look at your coach in the corner and that coach is Rocky Balboa, you're kind of like, whoa, that's awesome, dude. I got Rocky on my side kind of thing. It pushes you forward. It gives you confidence. Are you exercising confidence today in your walk with God? Do you have a spiritual confidence? Are you sure? Do you feel secure? Do you feel like you're stable? You're on solid footing? Or are you constantly wavering? It might be something that, you're constantly listening to things on YouTube that are causing you to doubt all the time, or causing you to, and if you're doing that all the time, man, that can really be a hindrance, right? You got to look at what you're taking in too. Or are you building up your defense of what you believe? Meaning you're defending what you believe, you understanding what you believe, why you believe it more and more and more. And, so David here has the spiritual shot in the arm, so to speak, and man, then he's out defeating. And I like that. Defeats, conquers them in their largest town, makes that big leap forward in victory. And he made the people lie down on the ground in a row. And he measured them off in groups of a length of a rope, And he measured off 2 groups to be executed for every one group to be spared. The Moabites who were spared became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. So interesting. I'm not sure what that's all about, the rope thing. But it's, instead of, obviously killing all the enemy, there's some sparing of the enemy going on. And David also destroyed the forces of Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. Again, the Bible is super specific about these places and about these kings. Very cool, right? It should give us a confidence that the Bible is not written about once upon a time in a galaxy far, far and away. But it's talking about real people, real times, right? Where they lived, who was king. And Hadadezer marched out to strengthen his control along the Euphrates River. Take out a map. Look at where the Euphrates River is. David captured 1,000 chariots, 7,000 charioteers, and 20,000 foot soldiers. He crippled all the chariot horses except enough for 100 chariots. When Arameans from Damascus arrived to help King Hadadezer, David killed 22,000 of them. Then he placed several army garrisons in Damascus. The Aramean capital and the Arameans became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. So the Lord made David victorious wherever he went. That's the idea. Just wants to tell us that David has these incredible moments of victory after this incredible encounter with God in the last chapter. So David bought the gold shields of Hadadezer's office to Jerusalem, along with the large amount of bronze from Hadadezer's towns of Teba and Berothai. And when King Toi of Hamath heard that David had destroyed the entire army of Hadadezer, he sent his son Joram to congratulate King David for his successful campaign. David's pretty gnarly. So maybe I should send my son over there and just say, hey, congratulations, And so he goes over there and does that. Hadadezer and Toi had been enemies and were often at war. Joram presented David with many gifts of silver, gold, and bronze. So it sounds like this guy, Toi, he's kind of glad that David did kind of his, in a sense, dirty work. Toi couldn't defeat Hadadezer, but David sure did. So Toi goes, hey, man, I should get over there and thank this guy. That's kind of interesting. We should have thankful hearts. Maybe when someone does something that maybe we should do, or we can't do, but we see someone else doing, maybe we, instead of being envious or bummed, that they did it, maybe we should, instead of envy, just be thankful, right? That they did do it. And, I like that. This guy could have got envious of David, and maybe he's going to. We'll see. But, here you see him go to congratulate David. And King David dedicated all these gifts to the Lord as he did with the silver and gold from the other nations he had defeated, from Edom, Moab, Ammon, Philistia, and Amalek, and from Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. So David became even more famous when he returned from destroying 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. Remember these relations, too, between Israel and Edom and Moab, Ammon, there's a lot of family relationships back there. And he placed army garrisons throughout Edom, and all the Edomites became David's subjects. In fact, the Lord made David victorious wherever he went. So David reigned over all Israel and did what was just and right for all of his people. Joab, son of Zeruiah, was commander of the army. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was the royal historian. Isn't that cool? They had royal historians back then, people writing things down, right? It says Zadok, son of Ahitub, was Amalek's son of Abithar, were the priests. Sariah was the court secretary. Benaniah, son of Jehoiada, was captain of the king's bodyguard, and David's sons served as priestly leaders. Wow, very interesting. David's sons served as priestly leaders. Interesting, because David's from the line of what? Judah. Yeah, not a really priestly line, right? Yeah, so really interesting. I love that idea at the end of chapter 8, because it talks about all the important people that are in David's life and are a part of this victorious life of David. Israel has been waiting to conquer enemies from the time that they left Pharaoh, back in the day, and they just never can do it. And here you see finally this guy David is given a promise, by the way, through his line is going to be an everlasting king and kingdom, and that, you get the idea that there is going to be victory at some point from someone from Judah. Judah is going to be the line that's going to really defeat the enemies. And of course, Jesus comes on the scene 1,000 years later. From what line? The line of Judah, right? And Jesus is conquering what? The enemy. What's the enemy? Death, right? Some of the greatest passages in the New Testament is that, Jesus has overcome the work of the devil, which is a reference all the way back to the second page of the Bible. Yeah, it's like the second page of the Bible where Adam and Eve really bail in their time with Satan. They really get tricked and deceived in their time with Satan. There's these curses that are given out on that second page, third page of the Bible, right in there. And those are important. It talks about that someone would come from the line of a woman, from the seed of a woman, that would conquer Satan. And so you see the Bible narrative just continuing to narrow and narrow. Now we know it's going to be from the tribe of what? Judah. See, we're getting really small. It's from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, their lineage, to then there's the 12 tribes of Israel. We don't know who it's going to be from the 12 tribes of Israel, but now we're getting into a specific tribe, Judah. So it just keeps narrowing down, right? This is where the promised Messiah is going to come from. This wonderful person who will conquer the greatest enemy of them all, right? Satan and death with him. And so, victory, happens through the, of course, line of Judah, but victory happens in our life practically from a lot of people being in our life. I didn't get the way I am just riding solo. I got the way I am because of many, many people. And you are all one of them, probably. People in my life, people that I see, people that impact me. And I don't see things trivially. I don't see things as I see a lot of things as meaningful. There is a purpose in why I met that person or what that person's sharing with me. And people impact me. And then not only they impact me, but they have vital roles. Some people have vital roles in my life. My wife, incredibly vital role in my life. Makes me think about things, makes me think about the way I am and the way she is, and things that I admire about her, and things that I would like to emulate that she has that I don't have. And then seeing some of those things rub off on me over time. Those are cool things. Friends in my life, and just their love and companionship, and my kids and how they have affected me, and all these wonderful people. And David had this. David had people, and they all had specific functions. They all were important, as the New Testament also teaches us. People in the body of Christ were all important, of equal value, but we're all doing something different. Equality doesn't mean that we're doing the same thing or we are the same thing. What equality means is that we all have the same value in the eyes of God. We all hold the same value. God doesn't see one of us better than the other. He shows no favoritism. He values all of us the same. We are saved the same way. He hasn't showed favoritism towards one person, one group, anything like that. We're all saved through the Lion of the tribe of Judah, David's line. We're all saved by this wonderful offering, right? To bring near, offering means to bring near, this offering through the tribe of Judah, right? So our value is all the same before God. But what we aren't is we aren't the same. A toe is not a hand. To say a toe is a hand is wrong. And this is where our culture is super confused. We're trying to say that you hold the same value and that what that means is that we're the same. But we're not. No matter how much you'd say that we're the same, we just ain't the same. That's right. A 2007 Kawasaki Ninja is not the same as a 2007 Harley Davidson. Yeah, they both are motorcycles on two wheels, but they're not the same. They're different. And that's what we see in these sections. Everybody is different. They all have incredible value, and they're all doing the work together in unity. And this is what we need, is groups of unity, people together, working together. A lot can get done in the church if we can just get our own glory out of the way and we can come together, right, as a unit and work together. That's what I see there in chapter 8. So very cool. Yes, Marcia says, golden threads woven through our life. Amen to that. So a very cool chapter, a real victorious chapter in the life of King David. Even though he's got tons of flaws, the dude has been vicious, man. And even in this chapter, we see him vicious in some ways. And to me it sounds vicious, but there's a lot of mercy too. He's letting a lot of people go too and serve him and under his leadership. And I bet you serving King David wasn't that bad, not compared to other kings for sure. But David wasn't a perfect guy, but we certainly see that he loved the Lord and he found his strength in the Lord, and he found some cool victory in the Lord too. So, hey, bless you. Have a great lunch, okay? Bye-bye.